There has to be a way that I can have this chat box showing without it covering up the whole screen that I'm trying to... Not that I need... There we go. Not that I need to watch myself, but it is nice to know if, something behind me is on fire. Or the lights go out and you suddenly can't see. I'd like to be able to at least look at the screen that's being put out there here for episode 239 of Riter Radio. What's up? How are you? Exciting day today as this starts a stretch of 5 consecutive amazing football days. The college football semifinal starts tonight with Miami taking out Ole Miss. Then you've got Oregon and Indiana tomorrow. Oregon and Indiana. I want to say at because you put them in order and it's always this, at, that. But it's the Peach Bowl. I assure you that the Hoosiers don't typically play in Georgia. And that is just the prelude to the NFL playoffs beginning on Saturday. Of course, the Bills on Sunday. There's a Monday night football game. That's a playoff game as well. So we've got 8 playoff football games beginning today. That's worthy of celebration right there. Part of how we will celebrate it is that I will welcome in a special guest to the show today. His name is Nate. He lives here. He's 11, but he's a football nut job who came home from school. I don't know when it was, maybe Monday. Came home from school and said, when can I come on your show to do my NFL playoff predictions? And I forgot. We did it last year. I wasn't doing this formal streaming version of the show, but I was doing a fairly regular audio podcast, and Nate came on and gave all of his picks, and he wanted to do that again, so we brought him in. It'll be a pre-recorded segment, but it'll appear live, basically, because it's still right here. The only difference is I'm wearing yesterday's shirt in it, but he couldn't do live, something about, math class or something. They don't let you just skip out of middle school to make NFL predictions on your father's radio/internet show and then just pop back in. Although yesterday we did have the exciting adventure of me running over to the school to drop off swim stuff, not for him, but for the oldest one. Turns out he had swim stuff. Come to find out, he was actually prepared. That's why I couldn't find the drawstring bag, because he had the drawstring bag and it had other swim stuff in it. So my panic causing me to get up and abandon all of you late in the show yesterday to run swim stuff over to the middle school was pointless. Pointless entirely. We pulled it off. Everything was fine. Show went well. But yeah, that was a pain. I went to the middle school a lot yesterday. Well, twice. I had to drop a kid off for jazz band. Then I had to go drop off swim stuff that really wasn't necessary. And then I don't think I left the house other than that yesterday. Oh, couple little errands during the afternoon before everybody got back. But aside from that, I was just home organizing. I spent some time organizing, which is good. And then also recording. And my God, pre-recording something seems like it makes my life easier. It makes it so much more difficult, especially in this video era. And I'll warn you right now, I did a 20-minute or 19-minute segment with Nate where he did his football picks. And I did the whole thing on video. I've got a new camera that I've got set up over on the other side. You'll see it. So right across from me. We can shoot right here. We can shoot. There's a backdrop right there. There's a backdrop right there. And there's one over there. None of them are beautiful or perfect. It's just my basement still. But all of them look good enough, passable, so that it's not super distracting. I still would be much more comfortable doing an audio-only show, although I have come to appreciate some of the visual elements of what's going on here. But anyway, I recorded this 20-minute segment, and then I went to edit it, and it turns out the software that I'm using, I've got a preview screen on the left, and then the program screen on the right. So anything that's on the left is waiting for me to hit the switch. Whew. Right now, real quick, I'll do this. It's the countdown little clip that shows at the beginning of the show. So I just hit a button for a fade, and it transitions to that. And now you're seeing the countdown. I'm seeing that on my right screen. On my left screen, I see myself. I hit fade again. They switched spots. And now I'm here. Well, when I broadcast, it automatically records everything that I'm broadcasting. There's also the option to just record instead of broadcasting. And I did that because we didn't need to go live at 9 p.m. last night. We were just putting something together to use on today's show at 11 a.m. And I got to the end of it, and I went to edit it, and I realized that I had never switched the screens. So we had the preview screen sitting there. So we got all the audio and none of the video. So then I had to create something video-wise to make it work, which I did. I essentially ended up doing like 2 PowerPoint presentations that we'll cycle through while listening to the audio of Nate. I put way too much time into this little show because I'm the only one doing it, and I want it to be as good as possible. But also, at some point you have to just say, just turn on the microphone and talk, man. This is the part I'm good at. The other part is it's fun, but it is exhausting. That said, the 11 o'clock hour of today's show will be completely different. Like if you obviously like the show enough, you're interested enough to tune in on a daily basis and look at what you're seeing here, which is me, and then the stuff surrounding it. The little flashing lights kind of look cool, and I like my logo. And I like that lately I've remembered to change the episode number on the screen, which is good. But today, it actually is going to look a lot different in the 11 o'clock hour. Out of necessity. But yeah, I spent a lot of time hey, come record this thing. Used to mean, Nate, come downstairs for 20 minutes, we'll record. I'll put it into Adobe Audition. I'll go clip at the front and at the back. And we just save it, and then it's ready to hit play on the show, and that's it. But once you start involving video elements, now there's rendering, and there's more things that can fail and always do. But it led to the 11 o'clock hour of today's show looking entirely different from this one. It'll sound the same, but it's going to look different. A little special treat for you as we're getting into real football season, the good stuff. The win or go home era. Or not era, it's not an era, but time of year. It's the most wonderful time of year. Until it isn't. For your team, for our team, that's there. All right, million things to do here between now and 11 o'clock, 11-ish, is when we'll hear from my son Nate, our special guest on today's show. He's the only guest. It's me and Nate. And you guys in the chat, feel free. Oh, here's something I want to throw out to the chat. At any point, do we want phone calls to be taken? Because I have the ability to do it. When first starting the show, I didn't really push that because, I don't know, I wanted to get into the flow of things, and I can't tell in real time, like, who's paying attention, who's interested, who wants to participate. I've never been a massive fan of phone calls on radio shows because I always feel like, well, they're paying the host to be there. That guy was at least hired by someone. Might not be the best, but there's at least been something more than can dial a phone to put you in the seat. So very often, the opinions of callers, occasionally they're great. You listen for, let's say, an hour. If 10 phone calls come through in an hour, one of them's probably pretty good. 6 are awful. 3 are fine. 1's good. I'm never going to take 10 calls in a show, but I don't see any reason not to use the number that we have. Yeah, I've got, exactly. AC Man says, yes, you have the number. Might as well use it. Use the Google Voice voicemail feature for your own version of the Whiner line. That's exactly what the plan was when setting it up. It's there. I don't remember to check it. I'm not even talking about Whiner line. I'm talking like live calls. I could just take a call. In the same way that when Bob Gaughan is on the show, he just calls my cell phone. The Google Voice number will also ring my cell phone. It's right here. I plug it into here, and we're on. So that is an option if we'd like. But I would only want to do it if, like, 3 of you in the chat say, yeah, we're going to call in now. And then we make a segment out of it. We can do it. So raise your hand in the chat if you're interested. The voicemail thing is available. Call it anytime. 716-288-5246. Raise your hand if you feel like participating in the show. Now, I have not yet. This is what I don't like in my traditional radio hosting. I've never been great at the calls thing. I'm good at dealing with them. I'm not good at generating them because I don't tend to come on and just pound one point that says, call me. Do you believe A or B? I just hate that kind of radio. So I never do it. So it ends up just being like a free-flowing conversation. And I always say, just jump in. Jump in whenever you want. But I'm not going to say that because I'm not going to always have the phone line open. But I feel like we could do a live calls segment. We do that today. It would have to be before 11 o'clock. But let's say maybe I've got a few more things I want to get to, and then we try it. You gotta raise your hands. All right, so I've got two hands up saying they're interested in doing it. All right, it's an option. It doesn't have to be today. Just put it out there. We can go with the flow. If I can interview an 11-year-old about football yesterday and air it today, I can certainly talk to you if you're listening. We're here now. I'm live. Hold up today's newspaper if I had one. But it's January 8th. It's 10:25 a.m. This is live. You're commenting in real time. There's no reason you couldn't jump in. All right. NFL. Oh. So John Harbaugh got fired. News came out yesterday. So I started the show yesterday talking about John Harbaugh and how while I don't ever think about, hey, the Bills should fire Sean McDermott, the conversation changes when that guy's available. And I'm in no way pushing for him to be out, but there's a world in which the Bills enter the playoffs on Sunday and exit the playoffs on Sunday, and people want answers. And I would typically be the one to say, calm down, the culture has changed, the team goes to the playoffs every year, they're in the fight all the time, everybody wants to be here now. It's different. That's my normal. But now John Harbaugh's available. And it got me thinking, that's the kind of guy you clear out space for. And there was a story yesterday. Oh, now I'm thinking maybe this did pop up late in the show. I don't know if it was late in the show. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to talk about it anyway. Here's the problem. I talk to you guys for 2 hours in here, and then I spend the rest of my day talking too, and I forget the timing. Like, did I do that? But I know that I said yesterday, Harbaugh's the kind of guy that makes you think about, do I have an open spot? And it came out yesterday, now from his agent, so you got to take everything with a grain of salt, but that he had been contacted by 7 teams. And if you look around the league, there are only 6 openings. 7 if you count Baltimore, but Baltimore's not contacting the agent of Harbaugh to try to bring in Harbaugh because they just fired Harbaugh. So that means 6 openings. At minimum, it means at least 1. That's redundant. At minimum, it means at least 1. At least 1 team that does not currently have a job opening, according to the agent, has reached out and said, would he want to come here? And from what I read last night, from what I heard last night, from what Scott Wilson texted me last night, from what he read or heard, let me find that because it's an interesting little tidbit. He's talking about Gary Myers in New York. So he's plugged in. He said Harbaugh has a daughter going back to college, so he's spending time with her and taking her back and won't be in New England for his brother's playoff game and won't do interviews until next week. He said, and this is kind of what I was thinking, I think it's mostly to see if anything else shakes loose job-wise from teams that lose in the wild card. mainly if he has a chance to coach Josh Allen. It's interesting. It's all very interesting. Not trying to fire anybody, not planning to lose this weekend. But if the Jaguars come out on top, somebody's going to want heads to roll. And I'm just saying that I'm much more open to the conversation if we're talking about Harbaugh than if we're talking about finding the next hot defensive coordinator, whoever's getting all the hype. Because that works out once in a while. But I'd never get him out of here until I know what the answer is, what the replacement is. Now, there is the Rooney Rule situation, which is that teams are mandated to interview multiple minority candidates before making a hire. And the rule works when it works. The rule doesn't work when the only reason you would fire your coach is to bring in John Harbaugh. Obviously, that wouldn't be the only reason, but if the thing that made you take action is that guy's available, going through the song and dance of pretending to interview somebody that you know you're not going to hire is pretty embarrassing. When you're mandated to do it, it gets weird. So, like, if you were to fire your coach because you want to hire Harbaugh, you would also have to do 2 fake interviews because it's illegal not to, NFL-wise. And then once you do that and you hire Harbaugh, now you, rightfully so, have just created a BS kind of insulting situation for whatever candidates you also interviewed with no intention of bringing them on. There is a case to be made that you're helping somebody get better to interview for next time or whatever. But it's all just, it's so like gross and weird. There should be some sort of an exception. It's like, no, I fired him because I wanted that guy. Like, all right, I'm going to try to compare this to selling a car. Like, you've got a car. I did this. I had a car I liked. I had I don't even know what year the thing was, but I had a Ford Explorer. And I was paying X number of dollars a month on it. I wasn't leasing it. It was mine, but I was still paying on it. And at some point, there was a commercial for a truck on TV, and I was like, well, that thing is like 8 years newer than this thing, or 6 years newer, whatever it was. And it's going to have no mechanical problems. And I can give it back in 3 years, and it costs less, and I can make a profit selling that. Okay, let's go. And I went and I traded in the Explorer, and I leased the truck, and I now own the truck. But it, like, the only reason I was fine with the Explorer, but then I saw a commercial on TV for John Harbaugh. And I was like, I can get John Harbaugh. I'm going to get myself out of this McDermott. And again, it's not me knocking him. I'm all right with him. I like him. I think he's done a really good job with this team. It's not often where I, like, game to game, I'm like, I am thrilled with the decisions he made. It's not that. It's that this team has been built, and I think he's at the center of what they've done. His attitude, I heard somebody recently describing him, one of the players, maybe Eric Wood, about how you get the same Sean McDermott every day. Win by 30, lose by 30. The next day, you know the guy you're going to get. And there's something for that stability. Much of what they have built here in the last 8-9 years. 8-9. In the last 8-9 years is about stability. Is about, I know culture is such a touchy word, but it's legit. Like, people like going to work there. They don't go in wondering, what the hell's this guy going to do this time? What's he going to say now? What's he going to change his mind about? Who's he firing? Who's he going to scream at? I don't know that he doesn't scream at people, but there's a stability there that you can sense. And then I heard a player specifically say it on one of those games to remember things on YouTube that are great, by the way, if you haven't heard me mention it already. Watch the Farewell to Highmark Stadium special that's like 45 minutes long. And then also this whole series of podcasts. They're calling them podcasts, which I guess they are, but they're videos with Chris Brown sitting down with former players talking about memorable games. You know, the snow game against the Colts, the first playoff game at Rich Stadium against the Oilers. What else was in there? The comeback game, 51-3 was in there. I've seen a few of them, and they're great. I've seen probably 4 of them. Loved them. But one of those, I think it was because Eric Wood talked about the snow game, and he might be the only player that's been on there that has overlapped with McDermott. So he, and also he's still around as a broadcaster. So he spoke about that. And so there's consistency there. But if the Bills are totally happy driving around in Sean McDermott, but then they're watching TV and they see a commercial for this incredible deal on John Harbaugh, it's not out of the realm of... They shouldn't have to stop at the Kia dealership and the Ford dealership when the only reason they're selling the Explorer is to get that truck. You're going to get the truck. That's why I'm dumping this. I'm going to get that. So, just saying, there are flaws in the Rooney Rule. Makes sense, like good overall position to take at heart, but sometimes it doesn't make sense. I'm not saying hire Harbaugh. I'm just saying I'll listen if things don't go well. I'll listen. Okay. I had an argument with AI last night. And AI told me not to talk about the argument that I had with it, which makes me want to talk about it more because, honestly, reading this conversation aloud would be incredible. But it's sensitive, and it's in my head that I'm going to do it at some point. But I feel like I have to do a trial run on my friends on the phone before doing it on the show. Not that I could get canceled necessarily because I'm just doing this on my own. But I don't know that I know that I want to do it, but I don't know that I want to do it because of the way that things can be misinterpreted and misconstrued. It's a very, very funny concept, and I just want to talk about it, but I don't know that I want it, recorded. So there's that. Oh, NFL coaching thing. So with the firing of John Harbaugh, a guy, Matt Warren, who used to be at Buffalo Rumblings. I've seen his name for a while. I don't think I've ever met him, but he's been around for a while, does a nice job covering the Bills. And he is with SB Nation now, and he did a thing about the longest tenured head coaches after Harbaugh's firing. Off the top of your head, where do you think Sean McDermott ranks as far as tenure with coaches? Because I immediately, with Harbaugh gone, thought of Tomlin. He's been around forever. And then I could not think of anyone else ahead of McDermott. And so I had to look at the list. I'm like, is he 2? Is he number 2? I forgot Andy Reid. McDermott's 3rd. 3rd longest tenured coach in football. Now, he's basically tied for 3rd. He was hired January 11th, 2017. Sean McVay was hired the next day in L.A., and Kyle Shanahan was hired a few weeks later in San Francisco. So they're all the same as far as year is concerned. They've all been coaches since early 2017. Took over for the start of the 2017 season. Andy Reid 4 years earlier than that. Mike Tomlin 10 years earlier than that. And then after that, it's Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, Zach Taylor in Cincinnati, Dan Campbell in Detroit, Nick Sirianni, Mike McDaniel, and it goes from there. I guess I should finish that year out. McDaniel, O'Connell, and Bowles are all 2022. Let me start getting to like D'Amico Ryans. It's crazy. But yeah, Sean McVay now, Sean McDermott now, and McVay too, tied for 3rd longest tenure as NFL head coaches. The 7 current vacancies: Arizona Cardinals, Atlanta Falcons, Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders, New York Giants, Tennessee Titans. You would have to think Harbaugh is the number 1 candidate for every job there except for Baltimore. He might be the best candidate for Baltimore, but apparently not, as they had their little falling out and they broke up. And here we are, Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh. Can you imagine being John Harbaugh and getting thrown out for Lamar Jackson? Like the part, what Scott said in the text. I'm wondering if he's just waiting around to see what happens over Wild Card Weekend. Can you imagine? Like, you know that a massive part of what has held you back has been the inability of Lamar Jackson to come through in the clutch for you. And then there's a little battle. And then you're the one that's out. And then you look around the league and you're like, could I go coach one of the quarterbacks that's not going to do that when it comes to playoff time? And then, maybe we'll play your team if you can get there without me. I could see a certain vengeful attitude if I'm John Harbaugh in that situation. All right. More than 75% of NFL coaches were hired since 2021. Almost 25% of the NFL will have a new head coach in 2026. And that's as of now. That's without playoff fallout. 7 open right now. And certainly could increase over the course of this weekend and even, down the road next weekend. Teams lose. People get mad. Things happen. The Bills are not the only one on this list. It would be like, Harbaugh sounds good. But, hey, I'm just saying. I'm not keeping the Bills out of that conversation. It says the Lombardi Trophy is the ultimate goal. Of the 5 coaches that have been around for more than 6 years, only 2 haven't won a Super Bowl, and only 1 hasn't appeared in a Super Bowl. The 2 who have not, Sean McDermott and Kyle Shanahan, 2 that have not won it. And then the only one who hasn't appeared in a Super Bowl is Sean McDermott. But hey, 3 wins from now, that can all change. And that starts on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Bills, Jaguars. Very excited. Full playoff preview coming up with my man Nate. Let's go through the chat here real quick. Oh, do we want to try that phone thing? Give me a real, yeah, I'll call it. Hand up. And we'll hook up the phone if we want to do that. If not, it's fine. I've got other things to do. You're just begging to hear the ChatGPT argument. Rappaport and Pelissero have it. McDaniel fired from Fins? I wonder if that's the... No, that wouldn't be it. Unless there's a family reason to go to Miami. That's not a good enough situation. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud and leaving out massive chunks of it. I'm thinking more inside, and some of it's coming out, so you're not getting all of it. So now I have to confirm. Not that I don't trust you guys in the chat, but I need to see it for myself before I just report it. But word that McDaniel may be out in Miami. All right, let's just type in his name. Let's see what happens. Yes. Dolphins fire Mike McDaniel 8 minutes ago, despite late season rally after 1-6 start. This is funny to me anyway, but then even funnier to me when I'm looking at a bunch of pictures of him side by side. My wife, every time Mike McDaniel shows up on the screen, says he looks like a cyber criminal. And I don't even know what that means or what she means by it. I know what the term means. But when she first said it, it was funny. And now I'm like, yeah, he does look like a cyber criminal. So what's he do now? He'll be an offensive coordinator somewhere. He'll be an OC. No, he might even be a head coach. It's probably a pretty good time to get fired, honestly. But here's the partial thought from where I said, maybe that's it. There was a hint in the story yesterday about Harbaugh that there was a team that inquired about his availability, and if he was interested, they were willing to fire their coach. So while I connected that to Buffalo, I thought that would have been like a twisted version of it. Because Buffalo, there's no way Buffalo is, hey, if you're interested, we'll fire this guy. I shouldn't say there's no way. I can't imagine that the Bills would be leading up to a playoff game, calling John Harbaugh and putting it, or Harbaugh's agent even, and putting it out there, hey, if you want this job, we'll fire our guy. That seems more like something a team that doesn't have a playoff game would do. I also felt like the Bills could make that call and go, hey, don't take a job for a week. Like that's how I would approach it. If I'm interested, if I'm the Bills and I'm interested in Harbaugh, I would just get a quiet note to the agent saying, just, can you hold off for a few days? Could you go out of town? And then the story is, yeah, he's going to be out of town. He's doing something with his daughter or whatever. Like, that's how I would play it. But also, in the story, they talked about a scenario like this. Harbaugh getting fired on a Tuesday was weird. McDaniel getting fired on the following Thursday is weirder. All right, here's a 15 hours ago story. Miami Dolphins make their move for John Harbaugh despite already having head coach. Okay, let's see if this connects them to that. The Dolphins have reached out to John Harbaugh following his exit from the Ravens, despite the fact they already have a head coach. On Tuesday afternoon, the Ravens confirmed they had parted ways with Harbaugh. What was that? Drooling. On Tuesday afternoon, the Ravens... Is that a stroke? No, I'm fine. The Ravens confirmed they had parted ways with Harbaugh after they failed to reach the postseason following a dramatic loss to the Steelers. Harbaugh had been in charge in Baltimore since 2008 and led them to victory in the Super Bowl back in 2012, but failed to keep his job after a calamitous end to 2025. Following his exit, Harbaugh had been expected to be the number one target for multiple teams, and it seems that Miami is ready to make a move. According to NFL insider Josina Anderson, I'm pretty good at this, man. I'm pretty good at this. I pieced it all together. The Dolphins have been in touch with Harbaugh, despite the fact they haven't fired McDaniel. This is 15 hours ago. Adam Schefter, just one day prior, had also reported that 7 NFL teams reached out to Harbaugh's representatives after he was fired. Currently, there are only 6 teams with a vacant head coach role, meaning that one team already with a coach had also registered their interest in the 63-year-old. Okay, first of all, I'm speaking in the past. This is from 15 hours ago. Second of all, there are 7 teams with a vacancy at the time, but one of them was Baltimore. Now there are 8, one of which is Miami. So Giants, Raiders, Titans, Cardinals, Falcons, Browns, Monday. Tuesday, and I know like Giants are earlier, Raiders that was earlier? I don't know, it doesn't matter. As of Monday, there were 6 open. It got to 7 with Baltimore on Tuesday. It gets to 8 with Miami firing Mike McDaniel today. Recently, however, Ian Rappaport claimed that McDaniel had been, quote, expected to be back on the Miami sidelines when the new season gets underway. When asked directly about the report, McDaniel said on Monday, my understanding is I'm the coach of the Miami Dolphins until told otherwise. He has been told otherwise, apparently, and that job's open. Is there anything more on the Harbaugh part of it? No. All right, so maybe Miami is that team, or for sure Miami is that team. Do we definitely know about everybody who has reached out? Doubt it. Highly respected. Even the President of the United States is very interested in someone hiring John Harbaugh immediately. He's essentially threatened the NFL teams. This is what he does. It might be Venezuela. It might be Greenland. It might be making sure you hire John Harbaugh. His post was, hire John Harbaugh fast. He and his brother, comma, are total winners. Harbaugh met with the president and then I loved his answer. Somebody asked him about, like, tried to insult him for going to the White House. And he said what I've said every time someone has been reluctant or, rejected the notion of going there. He said, you got a chance to go visit with the president, man. He said, how you framed that question, I would have framed that question like, you got a chance to go visit with the president, man. What was that experience like? And then he talked about it, said it was amazing, it was awesome, and I promise you, I root for our president. I want our president to be successful, just like I want my quarterback to be successful, and I want my team to be successful, and it was an amazing experience. That quote is funnier now that Lamar's not his quarterback and the Ravens aren't his team, because you can read it as, yeah, I root for the president. Don't like him, root for him. Root for the quarterback. Don't like him, root for him. Root for my team. Don't like it here. Root for it nonetheless. Kind of reads that way with all the extra stuff. He then talks about his brother meeting more U.S. presidents. Says he's got 7, I've got 4. I had a chance to meet President Obama twice. Incredible experience. Had a chance to meet President Biden when he was vice president in Iraq and spent a lot of time with him in Iraq. I didn't even know those guys fought together. Jim got invited also to the White House to meet President Reagan because he was a Heisman Trophy candidate. We got to go as a family. So I met President Reagan. I have a picture in my office of that. But, yeah, President Trump would like John Harbaugh to be signed ASAP. I have a feeling he doesn't care a lot about the Rooney Rule. In fact, he probably doesn't like that at all. If I know anything about our president, said he's not a big fan of the Rooney Rule. Okay. Back to the chat here, and then we got to take a break, and then I've got Nate's coming on. And maybe we'll do the chat GPT argument. I've got it there. I told it that I'm going to tell everybody what it said. It told me not to. It is strongly warning me not to, but it didn't get it. It was like we would have broken up. If ChatGPT and I were in I would call it like a long-term relationship, but if we just started dating, this is our 4th date, this would have been the moment where I was like, you are too stupid to hang out with me. You're brilliant most of the time. But if you can't understand what I'm saying right now, I can't have a conversation with you. And this is really how I felt at like 11:30 last night. Just sitting in this same exact chair, typing angrily at the computer for not understanding my joke. All right. There's a lot here. All right. We don't have to. This is from me asking about call-ins. Patty is offering to call in. Is that correct? Okay. We need Pucker to call in. Take a call or two. See how it goes. Good morning, all. Da-da-da. It's a fine idea. I just never have anything personally to say. That's fine. Brad just wanted to vote to see if he should take calls, and you didn't vote. McDaniel's fired. Want him for OC. Rappaport. Yeah, we got that. Okay. We got to get Brad to read the chat for the news. I found it. It took me a while. You're right. We got to. I now understand what that means. We got to get Brad to read the chat for the news. It's hard to follow along. The more active it is, the more difficult it becomes. Maybe that's why they have moderators, to highlight certain things. Yeah, look at that. Coach, you could have called to break the news. That would have been a good idea. Although, honestly, if I can't monitor, I'm trying to do the show. I didn't see the news in the chat for a couple minutes because I'm trying to do the show. And I wouldn't see the phone because it's not hooked up. That's why I'm asking about taking calls rather than just saying, let's take calls. But now I'm seeing it. Thank you, everyone, for pointing this out. And then Coach says, who cares about that? We need to hear the argument he had with ChatGPT. We might. Is there anything else? All right. Chinese scammers. Mr. Robot. No. A lot of gift and return stories in here. Former Ravens head coach John Harbaugh is not expected to conduct any head coach interviews until next week. That fits with our timeline. That's from Adam Schefter. All right. We're gonna take a break. We'll come back and do NFL picks with my son Nate. All right. Maybe we'll take calls at the end. If you've got ideas, maybe you'll want to comment on what Nate has to say. Maybe you'll want to get in your NFL picks. Maybe you'll find a major flaw in what he is predicting. I don't know. Hang out, watch, listen. we'll get to Nate. We'll do some music a little bit here. And then Nate Dogg. My argument with ChatGPT revolves around Nate and his current most widely used nickname, which is Nate Dogg. How he got that nickname, how he got the name Nathan. I didn't mention what he is called on his baseball team, but I think there's a better one. Like, they started calling him Nasty Nate. His head coach calls him Nasty Nate. And then the kids will chant like Nasty, Nasty Nate, 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 or whatever. So I'm like, it's cool. But I have a better idea for my son Nate and a nickname. And I think it's great. And ChatGPT is like, you can't say that. I was like, yes, I can. You're not listening to me. You don't understand. And we're just going backward, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And eventually I got to the point where I told ChatGPT that I was no longer as impressed with it as I used to be. It's a whole thing. It's a whole conversation. Maybe we'll do it. I'm a little nervous. All right, I gotta do the music thing. What do we want to hear? Did you say De La Soul? Is that what? I see that in the chat. Somebody say De La Soul. I wanted to hear something off of De La Soul is Dead. All right, that's fine. It's probably gonna be a commercial first. Yeah, I'll leave that turned down. We'll keep it right here until advertisement 3 goes away, and then I'll turn the thing up, and the music will come on. And when we come back, Nate Dogg joins me for episode 239 of Riter Radio. It's brought to you by Brian Janik at thefinancialguys.com. Any insurance needs, that's your dude, especially if you are approaching the age of 65. I know none of you are. You're all young and virile. So I did this super cool thing last night where I sat down with my son, Nate, who's got all of his football picks ready. And I set up the lighting. I've got the curtain there. I've got the microphone all set up. He is good to go. He's all fired up. We record a 20-minute segment where he picks not only all of the football games for this weekend, but also everything through the Super Bowl. All the NFL games, I should say. Because obviously college football starting tonight. We got a semifinal tonight. We got a semifinal Friday. And then NFL playoffs Saturday, Sunday, Monday. This is going to be awesome. We got 5 straight days of just massive football games. Nate's way more into the NFL part than the college part. I set this whole thing up. We recorded 19 minutes or 20 minutes or something of audio and video for this episode 239 of Riter Radio. And you know what happened, Nate?
What?
I had the video all set up in preview mode because we had to do this. We had to record it because you go to school. Yeah. And you're at school when I'm trying to do a show. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to work to just have you on live. But I wanted to prove that we did do this live. So say hello to the people. We're going to have all of the audio. I'll put up a cartoon of my face, a cartoon of Nate's face or something. You'll get to see his mug. But we did record this live on video and then realized afterward as I went to edit it to insert it into this show that there's no video because I recorded basically the wrong screen. I had all of it set up and screwed up. And I'm not going to make him go through all of his picks again and do it for 20 minutes. But I did make him come back downstairs to say hello to the people, wave to the people, and make sure you tell everybody the same thing that you said at the end of the last segment, right before, or the upcoming segment, the part we recorded. Say the same thing and say goodbye to the people in the same way. And then I'll let you go. And then right after Nate says goodbye or says whatever he says, then I'll say, all right, here's me and Nate. And then we'll play the audio version of this conversation that just happened, but I didn't get the video, if that makes sense. All right, Nate, is there anything you've got to say to the people?
Go Bills.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Yep.
All right, here's me and Nate with a conversation that's audio only, but it was video. It just didn't record the right way. It's tough, man. Doing a show by myself is a little tough. There's a lot going on. All right, here comes Nate. Riter Radio, episode 239, and I'm wearing the same shirt as yesterday because it's yesterday, because it's last night, because I can't have Nate on while he's at school. The show goes on while he's at school, and he told me a couple nights ago that he needs to make his football picks as the playoffs are approaching. And I said, for the weekend? And you said?
For the whole playoffs.
For the whole playoffs. We're going to go right through the Super Bowl. in this segment of Riter Radio with my son, Nate. Nate is 11 years old. We did this last year on just the podcast. There was no video at that point, but we did it on the Riter Radio podcast. You did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
You're pretty good at this. You watch a lot of football. You study it. You're always reading about it on, the tablet or the phone or watching YouTube highlights, and you're paying attention. So I think it's time for you to share your knowledge with the people. We're going to go through this weekend's games straight through in order that they will be played. And, I'm cool with, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring up point spreads. So we're going to turn this into your gambling segment.
Okay.
So, because you've got scores predicted, right?
Yep.
So if the scores are there, then we've got the point spread. We're going to get Nate's picks. That's what we're doing right now. This is on the fly that I'm looking this up, but NFL point spread this weekend. All right. So now I'm going to have those open in front of me as we work our way through. We're not going to have point spreads on the other games, but at least for this one, let's see how you do from a betting perspective. First game, NFC. It is the 12-5 Rams on the road at the 8-9 Carolina Panthers by virtue of them winning the worst division in football, the NFC South.
Okay, so I think the Rams are going to beat the Panthers 34-20, and I know that the Panthers have already beat the Rams this season, but I still think that the Rams are going to win.
All right, so that is Rams minus 10.5 is the first pick for Nate. What did you have, 34-20?
Yeah.
All right, 10.5. It opened at 10, went up to 10.5. Nate likes Rams minus 10.5 in the opening game of the weekend. The other Saturday game, 8 o'clock at night, the Packers on the road. They are 9-7, taking on the NFC North champion, Chicago Bears. And I'm not going to tell you point spread. You're going to tell me the score, and then I'll see how we do with the spread. All right, Packers at Bears. Nate.
I think the Bears are going to win 24-17. I just think that they're a better football team this year.
All right, so you're going Bears money line there because the Bears are a home underdog as of right now. We're recording this at 9 o'clock at night on Wednesday for episode 239, which, again, I'll change my shirt. You will have already seen me in a different shirt. Then I switched to this one. I haven't gotten changed since the show this morning. So just explaining the fashion choices that are being made here. I also set up a new little spot for Nate to do the show where his face is very bright. He looks a little bit ghostly, but I'm working on it. It's a new camera. It's a new setup. He's like right across from me, but I can't see him because I got multiple monitors in the way, but we're working on it. I've got 4 different little spots where we can shoot. Honestly, the show yesterday morning, I'm going to call it yesterday, but it was today, but you understand what I mean. Show 238, when suddenly I had to go to school to drop off swim clothes for my kid, and somebody in the chat was like, take us with you. And I thought I should be able to do something other than sitting in this chair. I've got cameras, I've got mobile things, and so I've spent a lot of today just kind of shifting stuff around and making it so it would look a little bit better when Nate came in. As it turns out, his face is, he looks like Nate the Friendly Ghost or something a little bit, but that's all right. We're getting there. Okay, so you've got the Bears on the money line, predicting they will win this thing on their own. Up next, the 1 o'clock game in Jacksonville. 13-4 Jacksonville Jaguars play host to my favorite team, the 12-5 Buffalo Bills. What are you thinking?
I think the Bills are going to win 27-14. I think that Josh Allen is a better quarterback. Bills have a better running back, and I just think that Trevor Lawrence isn't going to do
I expect
anything
3 turnovers, 3 takeaways from Trevor Lawrence in particular. And, I'll take fumbles and other things, but I just think that's the kind of guy you want to face in the playoffs. He has been playing well of late. He's been racking up touchdowns. But I don't know, man. There's just something about it. I've not once had confidence in him. Have you seen the commercial with him? And you have to have. With him and Travis Hunter?
Yeah.
Where they're dancing and like, I can't. Even when Josh and Diggs were borderline in love with each other, and they were buddy-buddy, and they were showing up everywhere and talking about he's my man, they wouldn't have done something that looked that pathetic and weak. And I've just seen, I hate his hair. I don't like his capri pants. I didn't think he was worthy of the touting he was getting when he was drafted first overall, and I still haven't seen it. So it would not shock me to see him come out, and we've seen this from the Bills this year, come out and dig themselves a hole by a team getting hot early. But am I really supposed to trust Trevor Lawrence as a 60-minute quarterback in this contest against Josh Allen in this year where Mahomes is gone and Lamar is gone and Burrow's gone? Does it all end at the hands of the Jaguars? The one thing I keep saying this that I fear, Nate, and you weren't alive for the first one and you were a little kid for the second one. The Bills have played the Jaguars twice in the playoffs. The first time was my least favorite Bills game of all time. 1996 playoffs. They ended up beating the Bills at home. It was the first playoff loss at the stadium that just closed. First time the Bills ever lost a playoff game there. It did not occur to any of us attending the game, or certainly to me, that there was a possibility the season would end that day. It's the most disappointed I've ever been in a football game. That includes Super Bowls. I knew the season was ending. Whether they won or lost, I knew the season was over. There weren't any more games. I want as many games as possible, which means I want Super Bowl, and I can handle Super Bowl losses because I get as many games as possible. I cannot handle first-round playoff loss to Jacksonville. I couldn't handle it in 1996, and I can't handle it in 2025. So it scares me a little. There's also been trips to Jacksonville that have been disastrous, even with Josh Allen. There was one last year, the year before. It was terrible. There have been the London games, Matt Milano getting hurt, E.J. Manuel having the worst game of his career that essentially ended his tenure and put him in as a college football broadcaster. Like that. There's something about those stupid Jaguars and their uniforms that rub me the wrong way, but I still like the Bills' chances here. So Bills are minus 1.5 on the road. Nate will lay those points. What was your final score there?
27-14.
27-14. Okay. Up next, 4:30 p.m. In Philly, as the Eagles at 11-6 play host to the 12-5 Niners. I can't believe this is not a night game. That's one of the juicier games on the schedule to me. But all right, 4:30 p.m. It's still, every game is a standalone game. People are going to watch all of them. It doesn't really matter, but that seemed to me like something you'd put on Monday night as opposed to the Houston-Pittsburgh game that we'll still get to. So Niners are at the Eagles. Nate Dogg, what's the pick?
Eagles 30, 49ers 27.
30-27.
Yeah.
That's okay. This is tough. You're calling for a push there because it is a 3-point spread. It's Eagles -3. We're just going to go with no pick on that one for you for betting purposes.
Okay.
Eagles -3 equals push. So you're not taking a side on that one. You're going right with what Vegas says as
right.
the Eagles by 3. Tell me what you think of either or both of those teams.
I think that the Eagles are a better team. I think that I'm pretty sure that every year that Jalen Hurts played Brock Purdy in the playoffs, Eagles have won. I think that they will win again. And, I just think the 49ers will lose.
All right. So Eagles win that one by 3, which, I'm sorry. You know what? This the opening line was 3. It's currently sitting at 4.5. So you are taking the Niners there. Niners plus 4.5. Okay. All right. That makes it better. I didn't really know what to do with that when I thought it was at 3. Did I get the Rams one right? Okay, Rams is now 10.5. Packers 1.5. Bills 1.5. All right, yeah, I just slipped up on that. Okay, so you've got the Eagles to win, Niners to cover by 1.5. The late game Sunday night football, 8 p.m. Chargers 11-6 are at the 14-3 and AFC East champion New England Patriots.
I think that the Chargers are gonna win 24-10. Even though that the Patriots do have a better record, I think Justin Herbert is a better quarterback than Drake May, and that Drake May isn't going to show up in the playoffs. He's just going to not be able to do anything.
Well, I will say this, and much was made of the Patriots' record over the course of the year, but I don't even know if you know this one. Of their 14 wins on the season, how many of them came against a team with a winning record? They won 14 times. How many were against a team plus 500?
I would guess 6 of them.
1.
Oh.
Their win against the Bills is their only win. I mean, I'll check to make sure that that's still the case.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to check. I believe that's still the case. If it changed, it didn't. It didn't change by beating the Jets or the Dolphins, and that was the case going into those games. So they've got a win against the Bills, and then 11 wins against sub-500 teams. No other positive outcomes on their resume.
Yes.
Still dropped 3. Probably shouldn't have even won here. I think this is all right.
Yeah.
And hold on. Drake May is, to me, the same tier of quarterback as Herbert and Lawrence. And all of them are, yeah, I can see your talent. Let's see it in January. So until you prove otherwise, and now one of them's going to here. But we saw what it looked like last year when Herbert played against Lawrence. And it was chaos, or was that 2 years ago? Chaos with the massive comeback because of turnovers by quarterbacks. The lead happened because of turnovers. The comeback happened because of turnovers. These are guys I don't trust. I think May's going to be good. I just am not ready to anoint him top dog here. I don't think they're the best team in the division, and certainly are not a team worthy of 14 wins. So, all right, you are taking the Chargers. You're taking the points, which means I'll just take them on the money line. You gave me a big enough spread there that we're just going to ignore the 3.5 points and get them at like plus 154. All right, so that's Nate's pick there. And finally, Monday night game, Houston Texans are 12-5. They are at the 10-7 Steelers. Stroud kind of falls into this category too. Let's see what you got in the playoffs. They do finish 12-5. He was great as a rookie, down year last year, good again this year. Steelers have Rodgers, the only other AFC quarterback with any meaningful playoff experience. How do you see this one shaking out?
I think the Texans are gonna win 21-13. I think that Texans are just a better team. The Steelers are playing in one of the easiest divisions, only needing 10 wins to make the playoffs this year. And I think after this game, I think it will be Aaron Rodgers' final NFL game.
This is it. This is it for Rodgers. I get that sense too, but we've had that sense with him for a while. He learned from the best. Brett Favre flirted with retirement for like 5 years before he finally went away. Aaron Rodgers is approaching that number. So, we're getting there. All right, so the picks for this weekend from a betting standpoint. I know you've got your scores, but I like to translate this into actionable, monetizable information for the listeners of Riter Radio. All right? Rams minus 10.5. Bears on the money line. Bills minus 1.5. Niners plus 4.5. Chargers money line. And the Houston Texans laying 2.5 points. Those are the picks from Nate for the weekend. But wait, there's more, because he has prepared the entire playoff slate. We're going to find out everything that's going to happen. All right, so take me to round 2 in the AFC. We don't know when the games will be, so whichever order you want to do them is fine by me. Give me your matchups and tell me who you like.
All right, so Broncos versus the Chargers. I think that the Broncos are going to win 34-31 because Broncos have just played good football this year. Their defense is good. Bo Nix is good. And I just think that they're going to end up winning.
All right, so you've got the Broncos over the Chargers. That leaves Bills-Texans.
Yep.
All right, and that would be in Houston. All right, so Buffalo goes on the road to take on the Texans, who to me are a pretty scary sort of threat to the Bills after what we've seen, I think, each of the last 2 years in the regular season, right? This one was worse.
Yeah.
Last year was a worse game. This one was more intimidating because it's the week that made me really believe in all the hype that I'm hearing about the Houston defense. Mm-hmm. So this matchup scares me a little bit. That said, I'll take whatever I can get come playoff time. How do you see Bills-Texans shaking out in Houston next weekend?
I think that the Bills are going to win 38-21 because Josh Allen is better than C.J. Stroud. I know that the Bills have lost to the Texans before, but the Bills are better. They're going to win. Okay,
fair enough. And that's it for the AFC. We go over to the NFC. So that sets up a Denver-Buffalo. Okay, so that sets up Buffalo at Denver in the AFC Championship game. All right, on the other side, what do we got?
So for the first game, Seahawks are hosting the Rams, and I think that the Rams are going to win 40-35.
Okay, wow. That's a lot of scoring.
Yeah.
Rams over Seahawks. What do you like or dislike about either of these teams?
I think both teams have the top 2 receivers in the league, being the Seahawks with Jackson Smith-Njigba and the Rams with Puka Nacua. I think that Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, and I just think that it's just going to be a shootout, and whoever has the ball last is going to win.
Darnold melted last year in the final regular season game and then melted in the playoffs. He somehow has had back-to-back 14-win seasons, which is just insane, considering, I don't know, what he had done prior to last year. But I find it hard to back him and trust him moving deep here. So I'm with you there. All right, so the Rams beat the Seahawks. What's our other game?
And then the Bears are hosting the Eagles. I think the Bears are going to win 31-24. Bears have already beat the Eagles once this year, and I think that they're going to do it again at home.
Is there anyone you know that you'd like to apologize for making that pick of Bears over Eagles?
Oh, sorry, John Fuller.
All right, fair enough. As long as you apologize to John Fuller, that makes it okay. That gives you a Rams-Bears. Bears at Rams. No, wait.
No.
Rams at Bears.
At Bears.
Wow. Soldier Field hosting the NFC Championship game for the first time since, wow. Did they host it the year that they played the Colts and lost? I don't remember. It might be their first time hosting the NFC Championship game since 1985. Might be. Don't have it in front of me. All right, what do you got?
So then for the NFC Championship game,
yeah,
I think that the Rams are going to win 28-24 against the Bears.
All right, Rams go on the road and make Chicago sad. Is Caleb Williams ready to go to a Super Bowl? Seems like no. That gives you Josh against Stafford, Bills, Rams, Super Bowl. That sounds fun to me.
Still have to do the AFC Championship game.
Oh, I just assumed. Oh, yeah, okay. You're right. AFC Championship game. Because I wrote down Buffalo at Denver, but I didn't write down who wins. All right, I'm assuming, but go ahead.
Okay.
I know you pretty well.
Well, then your assumption would be correct because I think the Bills are going to win 24-14 against Bo Nix and the Broncos, beating them in the playoffs for the second straight year.
Okay, fair enough. Now, your Super Bowl matchup. Your Buffalo Bills taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Is this the year that the Bills take home their first Lombardi trophy?
Yeah, the Bills are going to win 28-27 against the Rams.
All right, so what do you know? Here on Riter Radio, coming at you live from Buffalo, where I have a sign that says Buffalo behind me. Yes, that is for UB, but still, I've got Buffalo behind me. I bring on an 11-year-old who wears football jerseys, predominantly Josh Allen themed jerseys, 4 out of 7 days a week. And yeah, the 11-year-old comes on and picks his favorite team to win. So
yeah,
no massive surprise there. But again, to take you back to Nate's picks for the weekend. Now, he didn't know that I was going to do this as like a betting thing, but why not? Rams minus 10.5, Bears money line, Bills minus 1.5, Niners plus 4.5, Chargers money line, Houston minus 2.5. I don't know what that would pay as a parlay, but you throw that together. We'll check on that. We'll get that for you on the other side after we take a timeout. I don't feel like calculating it while Nate's sitting here, but we'll get that for you when we return in just a couple minutes here. Anything else you want to add here, Nate, as we're sitting around? Anything else you need to share with us?
Go Bills.
Let's go Bills. All right.
Yeah.
Good enough. Thanks, Nate. I apologize for sloppy transitions today. There's a lot going on. A lot of different inputs involved. Video, audio, pre-recorded video, pre-recorded audio, matching up video with the audio live on the spot while also participating in the chat. There's a lot going on. It's Riter Radio, episode 239. It's Thursday. Football starts today. Football season begins with the first of the semifinal college games. Miami taking on Ole Miss. Tomorrow is Oregon taking on Indiana. And then the NFL playoffs kick in on Saturday, as previously discussed in the last segment with my 11-year-old son, Nate, who he doesn't just pick winners. He writes down, this is what he's doing at school. I know this is what he's doing at school. He's, supposed to, he's like a 99 average at school. So, I'm not going to put him down. But for sure, he's zipping through not homework, classwork is the word I'm looking for, so that he can be done, so that he can map out the NFL playoff scenarios, and then come home and say, I need to come on the show. I've got my playoff picks ready. So that's That's what I'm raising. But he's well-rounded. He's really good in school. He's really good in sports. He's really enthusiastic about everything. He's a nice kid. He's in jazz band. Dude plays trumpet. Pretty sweet. So I took those picks and I translated them into actionable an actionable cash money type of situation by logging into an account and plugging in the numbers to see what happened. First thing that happened when I did that, by the way, and this is awesome, is that I discovered that on February 8th of 2025, I placed a $10 bet on this year's Super Bowl teams, a futures bet. I said the Bills would be in the Super Bowl, and I said the Eagles would be in the Super Bowl. And I don't know what would have made me do this. I literally had no idea. I don't do this. I don't log in and go, oh, yeah, I do have this bet from last year. I don't make a lot of bets, but I know like the little ones that I have out there when I have them, and I did not think I had anything. But I went through last night and put in a bunch of little bets on Nate's ideas here just to see how it goes. And then when I went to look at all of them, I saw at the bottom there was one extra bet. And again, placed last February, Bills and Eagles to meet in the Super Bowl. $10 to win $285. So, I don't know. If you're like me, can you very easily picture the Bills being in the Super Bowl, but you also find it impossible to picture them winning the Super Bowl because you watched them lose it 4 times? Like, I was high school and college for me. That's when those Super Bowls were. So my junior and senior year of high school, and then my freshman and sophomore year of college, the Bills went to the Super Bowl for all of them. And at no point did I think they were going to lose it, and then they always did. And now, however many years removed we are, 32 years removed from that, I can't picture the team winning the Super Bowl. That will make me... The Bills getting to the Super Bowl would make Western New York go crazy. I don't think I'll go nuts for that because I've seen that. Winning, it's the thing I can't picture. That might kill me. I might collapse and die if that happens. When that happens. It'll happen in the Josh Allen era, right? So anyway, at no point would I put money on the Bills to win the Super Bowl. But to go to it, yeah, I guess I did. And it's $10. But 10 to win 285 is a nice little discovery at the bottom of the account. So what I did was I took Nate's picks and translated them. He just gave me the teams he thought would win and the scores. And I thought, all right, let's translate that into a 16 parlay. So what we did is we pasted all of these picks together, and they're on the screen right now. Rams minus 10.5. And this is all based on what he said. He wasn't picking against the spread. He just predicted scores for the games. The only one where it got a little tight was he liked the Eagles to beat the... Is it Eagles-Bears? Yeah. He liked the Eagles to beat the Bears by 3. And it's a 3-point spread at the time, I thought. But then I looked and it was a 4.5. So I'm taking that as Bears money line. That's wrong. That shouldn't be Bears money line. I'm sure I did it right in the phone. Take all those things together. Here's what you get. Wrong. Hold on. It's not the one I want. Oh, man, see what I mean about the visual stuff? All right, now we have to escape this. Here. And this is what you get. 16 parlay. Comes in at plus 7035. You bet $5 on those 6 things. If they all hit, that's a $357 winner. Although I am a little confused about whether I did the Bears thing right or not. It doesn't really matter. None of these are going to happen. Okay, so that's 16 parlay. But here's where it gets exciting. If you take alternate lines and get extreme with the whole thing, you take exactly what Nate said, exactly his scores, plug them in, and then like if he had the Rams winning by 14, so I count that as Rams minus 13.5. He had the Bear, whatever it is. Everything you see on the screen is like winning it by a hair. I placed $1 bets on each of these games just to track it, just to make it fun, just to see how this all turns out. Ultimately, I bet $16 on the last segment of what Nate's predictions. I just took what he said and translated it. Rather than, if you know, so the Bills are 1.5 point favorites at last check, right? If you think the Bills are going to win by 17 points, well, then make the book pay for it, right? So you go minus 16.5. They're going to win by 17, minus 16.5. Now, in real life, if you think it's going to be a blowout, maybe you go minus 9.5 instead of minus 16.5. But for the purposes of today's show, I took Nate's positions to the extreme. And the best one you'll see here is right there. Chargers minus 13.5 pays 10-1. So if these $6 that I bet all come through, that's a profit of $23. Here's where it gets very interesting. What if you parlay those? Use the alt lines and parlay them, and I did. And what happened there is very, very impressive. You take all those lines, you put them together for $5. If they hit, that's $12,659. If Nate's exactly right about everything, I'll win everything that you just saw on the screen. So I will come up of $357 for that $5 parlay. I'll tack on another $23 for this parlay, or for these 6 individual $1 bets. And then the big one right here. If those 6 win, then this will win also. $5 to win $12,659 based solely on what my son said on a segment of the show. I did it, and if it wins, it won't go to him. It'll go to me. He didn't pay. He didn't bet it. I did. Give me $16. I'm talking to the chat. I'm sorry. For those of you who just listen and don't pay attention to what's going on the screen, there are times where I'm just talking to the screen. But it feels more like a community. And I appreciate that. So there you go. It's Nate's bets, Nate's picks. This is the plan right here. No, not that one. It doesn't matter. The alternate lines are the way to go. These. Okay, there's the plan. Rams minus 13.5. I feel like I screwed that up with Bears minus 6.5. Because he definitely picked the Eagles. So I might have to put these all, maybe cancel them and put them back in again and get the thing right. All right. Shut that down. Bring that over there. Okay. Happy birthday. Big birthday day today. All your favorites. Elvis is 91 today. He's dead, but he's 91. David Bowie is 79. R&B superstar. That's all I really remember about him. R. Kelly is 59. And Kim Jong-un is 43. Don't you feel like you've known about Kim Jong-un for way too long for him to be only 43? I know Kim Jong-il was first. But Kim Jong-un is like, he was a baby dictator when he first kicked in. How long ago was that? Let's see what's going on here. We don't need to know about longest tenured head coach anymore. We can close that window. Bear with me. There we go, with the slow-ass computer. Dictator Kim Jong-un. Wikipedia. Let's just look up Kim Jong-un. Why wouldn't you? It's Thursday. He's a good-looking man. He's born in either 83 or 84. That's perfect. That's dictator stuff. You know who's like that? Kim Jong-un and Marv Levy. People who make it unclear when their birthday is. Although now that he's settled into being 100, I think he's telling the truth at this point. When did he take over? Leader of North Korea. 2011. Kim Jong-il died in 2011. Despite the elder Kim's plans, it was not immediately clear after his death whether Kim Jong-un would in fact take full power. But he did. an outstanding leader of the party, army, and people, and a respected comrade who is identical to Supreme Commander Kim Jong-il. Which, if you didn't know any better, looks exactly like Kim Jong-2. Kim Jong the Second. Wait, was it Pope John Il? Pope John Paul Il? It's a stupid joke. It's a stupid joke. It's all based on the premise that the capital I, if it doesn't have the top and bottom things on it, which I'm sure have names, I don't know what they are, and then a lowercase l right next to each other, it looks like that. That could say 2. That could say il. That could also say 4th in inches. This right here. In the chat, somebody brought up punting. Josh Allen. Somebody said, I've got this theory. I think it was Nick. I got this theory. I think Josh Allen should punt when they're inside the 50. I would say you shouldn't punt inside the 50. And he's referring to what's known as a quick kick, which is the punting in a surprise fashion. Like you line up in shotgun, like, oh, it's 4th and 4. They're really going to go for it? This seems crazy. And then in that mad scramble, the quarterback just goes boop and punts it, tries to catch you unaware and maybe pin you deep. And I feel like that's a move reserved for teams that don't have Josh Allen. I don't think it's a bad idea to have that in your arsenal. But I would think it would be more of like a, why are they lined up? They're going to go for it on 4th and 18? Up by 12? At their own 37? And then Josh Allen goes, boom. Randall Cunningham used to do it all the time. It was a big move. He might have even been their punter for a year or a month when somebody was hurt or something along those lines. But it's not unprecedented, and it wouldn't be crazy to add that little trick to the arsenal. But it's more of a situational, like, wouldn't that be a cool trick play to pull type of thing than I'm going to just make Josh Allen my short punter. I bet he punts better than punters punt. Right? Is there anything that dude can't do? Seems like no. On this day in history, George Washington gave the first State of the Union address. What year would you guess that George Washington gave the first State of the Union address? Because I would have been off on this one. The answer is 1790? Doesn't that seem like hanging out for way too long? Maybe he gave speeches and just didn't call them that. But officially, this is considered the birth date of the State of the Union address, which I feel should have happened at least like 5-6 years earlier. That was weird to me. All right, going through the stuff that I've got open here. I will say this. I start like the prep for the show, typically, on Google News, and it's got all different tabs. And I clicked on one today that I'd never clicked on before. It must be within the science tab is a space tab. There's a whole, it is wild. It is wild, the stuff that goes on in space and the stuff that people are learning about. But it also made me wonder, like, if you discover some, it'd be better if I had the thing open, of course. Reading about synthetic skin based on octopus technology. Okay. Hubble telescope discovers a new type of cosmic object, and astronomers are on cloud 9, and that's in quotes. This is a tale of a failed galaxy. The location of cloud 9, a failed galaxy packed with gas and dark matter but absent of stars, is what I'm looking at on my screen right now. Using the Hubble Space Telescope, astronomers have discovered a new type of cosmic object, cloud of dark matter and gas that contains no stars. The object, located around 14 million light years from Earth and at the outskirts of the spiral galaxy Messier 94, has been nicknamed Cloud 9. It's funny, like, everything's named after something. Everything's named after somebody. They named Jupiter after a god. They named Mars after a god. I guess one could contend Messier in 94 was a god for the New York Rangers. But it's just so funny. I don't know how to phrase this, but it's a thought I've had a million times, that if it's old, you just accept the name. But every time something new gets named, if it's in reference to something I actually know, like, really? You're gonna call a galaxy Messier? I mean, I appreciate that the Rangers hadn't won the Cup since 1940, and then they won it in 94, and he was a big part. I get it. But it just, I don't know. It cheapens the power of the Roman gods. Milky Way is a weird name for a galaxy, too. I don't know how that got there. All right, but anyway, if you just start reading about space, one of it is like, this is fascinating. And then another part of it in my brain is, if they're completely making that up and lying, like if astronomy isn't, it could just be a fake discipline. It could be like astrology. I would never know any different. You can tell me how long it takes to revolve around the sun and that this planet does this. And I guess when you accurately predict total solar eclipse and it gets dark outside, that tells me that they're not making it up. It's not BS. But Cloud9 now exists. If they're lying to me, that has no impact on my life. And that guy, I'm just saying, there could be a guy who's like, I'm going to be an astronomer. I'm going to be a fake astronomer. Like, that could be a thing. That's a premise for a movie. A guy who's just a fake astronomer. Because who can prove, I guess within the room, you got to report to somebody. Your boss is like, let me look at that. Sticks his eye in the television. Oh, yeah, all right. I guess that is a failed galaxy. It's 14 billion light years from here. I'm sure you're right. But it seems like you could just fake it. Like, what'd you do? How was work today? Like, nothing yet. You were on that telescope. You were there for the full 8-hour shift. I saw you took 45 minutes for lunch. It's supposed to be 30. Yeah, I know. But I was really onto something. What'd you find? Nothing today. All right, see you tomorrow. Then you check back in the next day, punch the clock, just go stare into a telescope. Anything? Nope. All right, going home. Hey, it's Friday. Time to relax and not look at my telescope. I know it's not. It's stupid. It's all stupid. Okay. I don't want to read that one. This octopus skin one. Synthetic skin based on octopus biology promises use in robotics. The science tab is wild, man. The space part of it was the weirdest part, but scientists have unveiled a synthetic skin inspired by octopus camouflage. These are words that I've never thought to put together. That is capable of changing color and texture, opening up potential uses from robotics to display technologies. Researchers use semiconductor etching techniques to recreate the marine mollusk's ability to hide by changing its appearance to resemble its environment. The researchers exploited how roughening or smoothing surfaces can make the light they reflect look different to an observer, creating a much broader visual palette than relying on color variations alone. Here's the quote. For the first time, we can mimic key aspects of octopus, cuttlefish, and squid camouflage in different environments, namely controlling complex, natural-looking textures, and at the same time changing independent patterns of color. I gotta say, I was blown away when I went to the Science Museum and you could move sand on that topographic map and the lights show the elevations in different lights. That blew my mind. That's like 10 years ago. Maybe less. That's amazing to me. Now we're making octopus skin. Seems like a similar concept. And the picture I'm looking at, it looks very similar, like a heat slash, I don't know what the word I would use to describe it is. But like varying colors representing varying heights. It looks like when you build mountains out of sand at the Science Museum. All right, closing that one. This is cleaning up the old tabs. I'm going to reject these optional cookies. Jellyfish sleep like humans even though they don't have brains? What does that mean, sleep like humans? Like they snore? They roll around? They get sleep apnea? Neither jellyfish nor sea anemones have brains. But these animals sleep in ways strikingly similar to humans. I can't wait to hear what a similar sleep is. The findings bolster a theory that sleep evolved, at least in part, to protect the DNA in individual nerve cells, helping to repair damage that builds up while animals are awake. Neurons are very precious. They don't divide, so you need to keep them intact. Previous work has shown that jellyfish enter a sleep-like state, but this study is the first to characterize the phenomenon in sea anemones. And the first to describe... Can you tell how proud I am that I got through that word twice without tripping up? And the first to describe both creatures' sleep patterns in detail. Every time somebody adds to the list of species that sleep, it's a very important step for the field. What doesn't sleep? I'm going to have to look. Well, no, I want to find out how do they compare this to people. Sleep is a risky state for animals. It leaves them vulnerable to predators and environmental hazards, and it cuts into time that could otherwise be spent foraging, mating, or caring for offspring. Well, I would say it does that to us, too. We just have locks on our doors. Scientists broadly agree that sleep must serve a fundamental biological function because evolution has preserved it across all animals with nervous systems studied so far. The idea that sleep might actually predate the evolution of a centralized nervous system gained traction in 2017 when Ravi Nath and his colleagues demonstrated the sleep-like state in jellyfish. Okay? Where's the part where it's comparable to humans? Comparable to humans. Now, I'm done with this. It's not telling me the thing. Now I want to know what animals don't sleep. Sharks sleep with their eyes open, right? As I'm doing this, I feel like it just said all animals with nervous systems sleep. Here we go. No animal truly skips sleep, but some, like jellyfish, sponges, and starfish, lack complex brains, exhibiting unique rest states instead, while others like dolphins, sharks, and alpine swifts use half-brain rest, unihemispheric sleep, or short power naps, microsleeps, to stay alert, functioning continuously with only partial rest. Seems like AI is a little behind on this one. It hasn't read the latest studies. Talking trash about jellyfish not sleeping. Pfft, what do you know? Nah, I don't feel like doing Trump stuff today. Nick Reiner, lawyer, steps down just before arraignment in Rob and Michelle Reiner murder case. Criminal defense lawyer representing Nick Reiner told the judge Wednesday he's removing himself from the case. Says, I have no choice but to step down of counsel of record. This is Alan Jackson. Apparently not wanting to rock the jukebox. Kimberly Green, an L.A. public defender, then stepped in and asked the judge to postpone the arraignment. It's now been rescheduled for February 23rd. In remarks to reporters outside the courthouse, Jackson said his team wished Nick Reiner the very, very best moving forward and insisted his former client was not guilty. Jackson is a former L.A. prosecutor, previously represented Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey. In reaction to Jackson's departure from the case, a spokesperson for the Reiner family said they have the utmost trust in the legal process and will not comment further on matters related to the legal proceedings. They're not going to tell you why he bailed. Okay. Don't need that story then. We'll close that. I couldn't not open this thing that said Ocean's 12 restaurant coming to Buffalo. New restaurant expected to open this year, especially because the picture of it looked a lot like the Shake Shack at the Atlantis Resort in the Bahamas, where Scott Wilson and I sat and ate multiple times next to a massive aquarium. This is an immersive restaurant that will make it feel like you're eating underwater in the ocean. The first thing you're going to see is a massive 10-foot screen. He's transforming the former David's Table, St. George's Table, and Amaryllis into Ocean's 12. It will be also home to Ocean's 13, a catering and special events space. There have been other businesses I've had over the years. This was always the place that I wanted to come to. Says, what's his name? Lorenzo. David Lorenzo? Steven Lorenzo. He knew this would be a perfect spot for his ocean-themed restaurant. If there's a shark swimming from here, it will go all the way around. It's almost 360 all the way around. Almost. Why almost? They can also be turned into TVs for Bills games, Sabres games. There are so many other options other than just fish swimming by. Yeah, space. We could do space. The lights will also make the floor look like it's moving like the ocean. That sounds appetizing. With the epoxy resin and the LED lighting, it's going to really give you that effect that's like, wow, this is something unique. And despite the name, they won't just be serving seafood. So we have a great pizza facility in the kitchen. There's so much that is for everybody. You can grab a steak. You can grab a burger. There will be a buffet. You can come here for lunch, make yourself a sandwich, get yourself fresh homemade pasta, soup, salad. You're in, you're out. They plan to have valet parking and other options too. He expects Oceans 12 to open up sometime this year. I want to know where this is. I feel like part of the reason I opened this, well, I explained part of it. It's that I saw a restaurant that looked like one I've been to. And it was called Oceans 12, which is interesting. And it involved buffalo. But I feel like I also, in the moment, was like, oh, that used to be blank. And it didn't used to be, the thing that I'm thinking of was not listed there. It listed 3 other things it used to be. Can you get an address here? 675 Delaware. All right, let's see what's at 675 Delaware. I feel like it's a place I used to go or something. All right, we're just going to type that in. Bear with me. I would eat at Oceans 12. It is 675 Delaware. It's between Summer and North. Oh, it's at the Westbrook. The Westbrook, which is a former hotel that was converted to apartments, and there was a time early in my WGR years where there was a bar under there called Tailgaters, and the GR building was right around the corner, and that was kind of our hangout. That's what I'm thinking of. So Tailgaters, which is, I don't know if it's going to be the same place, but it's like almost a basement type of bar, is becoming Oceans 12, which will be an immersive ocean-like experience. Okay. I want to make sure I get through everything here. Save that one for later. One rising Sabre star just sent a powerful message about staying in Buffalo long term. During a career best season, Josh Doan is doing more than just scoring goals. He's made it clear he's committed to the Sabres, something they haven't heard from a star player in years. Let's get a quote. Is there an actual quote? Matthew Fairburn at The Athletic quoted Josh Doan as saying, "I want to be here. That's something me and my agency and my family have made clear. I want to be in Buffalo. I want to play here." Okay. I didn't think we were still that needy. Because there was a time when Bills were terrible and the Sabres were terrible, and any person who, batted their eyelashes at us, like, "Oh, you're the best. Look, he wants to be here." Like, yeah, but he's terrible. Yeah, but he wants to be here, so let's make him the captain. Let's make Steve Ott the captain. I don't know why Steve Ott's the name that came to mind there. I don't know that he ever said he wanted to be here. You get the point. When was this? Don't need that one. 18-time Grammy winner cancels Kennedy Center show. Oh, this is a good story. So Bela Fleck, who's a banjo player, was scheduled to play with the National Symphony Orchestra. I think that's what they're called. It's what they are. Is that what they're called? Yeah, NSO. He is withdrawn from his upcoming performance at the Kennedy Center. He says, "Performing there has become charged and political at an institution where the focus should be on the music. I look forward to playing with the NSO another time in the future when we can together share and celebrate art." He goes on to say that deciding to play there is a political statement now. So he's decided not to play there. There's no way to avoid making it a political statement, and I think it's accurate. By saying he's not going to play there, the center's president, who is, the Trump appointee, Trump has attached his name to it. I do like that, like 2 weeks ago, the story was he's renamed it the Trump Kennedy Center. And every article I've been reading about it is still calling it the Kennedy Center. In the same way that, like, I'll just call it Twitter. I know X is shorter. X is easier to type in. But I'll still call it Twitter. I still call it the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know. It's just what I know it as. I still call it Rich Stadium. Like that kind of deal. But the director or the president of the Kennedy Center says, you just made it political and caved to the woke mob who wants you to perform only for lefties. The mob pressuring you will never be happy until you only play for Democrats. The Trump Kennedy Center believes all people are welcome, Democrats and Republicans and people uninterested in politics. We want performers who aren't political, who simply love entertaining everyone, regardless of who they voted for. That second part, like if you were a regular person in that position, that second part is that makes sense. All people are welcome. Democrats, Republicans, people not interested in politics. We want performers who aren't political, who simply love entertaining everyone, regardless of who they voted for. That's a good statement for a proper leader of this arts facility, arts center. But starting it with the mob pressuring you will never be happy until you only play for Democrats is crazy. Like, I've been to a bunch of shows. Not once has anyone ask, raise your hand, who did you vote for? Like, that's not what concerts are. So to throw that in there, it's just, this is where we live right now. If you're not extremely over there, these people put you way over there. If you're not extremely over there, they put you over there. It's all stupid. It's really, really stupid. I could do an hour on that. I'm not going to. I'm not in the mood. This is interesting. Now, the article I read is a new one, but then as a reference point, I clicked on this older one that's from 3 years ago. But it says, people underestimate the joys of sitting and thinking. Letting your mind wander without the distraction of smart devices may have mental health benefits. Yeah, no kidding. Scrolling through your phone or flipping through Netflix options may seem like a great way to entertain yourself, but new research suggests that we underestimate how enjoyable sitting with our thoughts can be. The lead author of this study says humans have a striking ability to immerse themselves in their own thinking. Our research suggests that individuals have difficulty appreciating just how engaging thinking can be. That could explain why people prefer keeping themselves busy with devices and other distractions rather than taking a moment for reflection and imagination in daily life. I need to get back into it, but I used to walk a lot. And I'd walk for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, just go. And part of walking would be to listen to podcasts and think. And I think I should do that again. Thinking back to the first 100 episodes of Riter Radio, I was doing them at a radio station that was, I don't know, a 25-minute drive. I really liked the drive. It's what led me to this thing where I don't know how the show's going to start because it was always influenced by the 25 minutes of driving. Listening to things, stopping at a store, stopping at a gas station, interacting with someone, something that happens in traffic, some piece of wildlife that I saw run or fly by, some sort of weather event, anything. And also, I was listening to either a radio show or a podcast or something. So I was just by myself downloading information on my way to do a show. And I think it was super good for the show and super healthy. I like doing the show from home. I like not having to drive anywhere. But also just coming down the stairs and sitting in this same chair every day does not provide for new experiences. So if I didn't watch a bunch of stuff on TV or do a bunch of stuff yesterday, I very rarely get new stuff in my brain in prepping for the show in the hour leading up to when I go on the air. If I went out for a ride, maybe I should try that. I wouldn't have to go anywhere, but maybe I leave my house at 9 o'clock and get back home at 9:40. It's a waste of gas, sort of, but I think it would be good for me. And that's sitting and thinking. Not writing anything down. Can't write anything down when you're out for a walk. I mean, I guess you could, but no. It's just getting stuff moving in your brain without staring at a screen and finding it. Instead, to get ready for the show, I sit down here. Now, today's different because I spent a lot of time last night getting ready and preparing the Nate stuff and all that, so I knew that was coming. But as far as all right, what's new and fresh and exciting to talk about to start the show today? Just thinking rather than reading and researching, I find to be a more productive activity. And then that also led me to wait, are you talking about meditation? So I put into ChatGPT, read this article, and then explain if there's a difference between what it is describing and meditation. And it says the difference here, similarities, both involve sitting quietly with your mind, often without external distractions. Key differences. Purpose, sitting and thinking in the study. No structured goal, just letting thoughts happen. Meditation would be intentional practice with goals. Awareness, calm, insight, focus. Attention training is another feature. Not directed, mind wanders naturally when sitting and thinking. Meditation, however, often directed, watches thoughts come and go. Technique, no guidance or method when sitting and thinking. Meditation uses breath, body, mantra, observation, etc. And then skill development. It says none systematically trained when sitting and thinking. Meditation practiced over time to enhance awareness and control. That said, if I asked you to describe meditation, wouldn't the first word be sitting and then the second one be thinking? So what they're saying is half-assed meditation is good for you too. You don't have to subscribe to, you don't have to sign up for a class to learn to meditate. Just put down the phone for a while and think, and it'll probably be helpful. I think that's what's going on here. All right, I'm done. Watch football tonight and tomorrow. Oh, there's hockey tonight too. Football, hockey. Oh, we've got basketball practice tonight too. A lot of sports. Watch football. Don't forget that the college football semifinal takes place tonight and it takes place tomorrow while you're just waiting, drooling, waiting for the NFL playoffs. You don't have to do that. Game's on tonight. Miami, Ole Miss tonight. Oregon, Indiana tomorrow. NFL starts Saturday. I'm done for the day. Thank you to everyone in the chat, everyone listening, calling, sharing, not calling, texting, liking, subscribing, all that stuff. Do all that stuff. And thanks to everyone. Oh, yeah, the chat has been super active lately, and it seems, and I confirmed it, that it's people migrating over from, there's a WGR locker room thing on Discord. If I'm screwing it up a little, it's okay. There's a group of people that listen to Jeremy and Joe's show, and chat while it's going on. And a chunk of those people have migrated to this show at 10. There was some reference to, I'm just going to do this between shows. I was like, between shows? Between what shows? And the shows, I was like, I assume we're talking about my boys at GR, and that's what we're talking about. So between those shows, we've got people hanging out, chatting, and then jumping over here. And if you guys want to recruit more people from there to come here, that would be awesome. It would also be awesome if everyone who's listening would subscribe on one or both of YouTube or Spotify, because those numbers have kind of just flattened. We've got a nice group of people interacting, but I haven't seen the growth that we're looking for. And I think that's coming. I think the new Brain Vault thing at the Cavs, which starts 2 weeks from yesterday, is going to be a big part of it too. I'm going to be out there a lot more than just sitting here. And that's going to help. But those of you who have found the show, please share so that others will do the same. All right. We are done. I'm going to end it like that. Maybe tomorrow I'll share the argument I had with ChatGPT about my son and his nickname. Didn't get to it yet today. But it's late. We do it in the afternoon for Show Up with the Bulldog too. All right, cool. So I get to be a part of this. Good. Those are all my friends anyway. I used to work there. Do you know that? a while ago. Long time ago. All right. Where's my thing? I'm playing the thing, and we're out. All done. Bye. Thanks.
I don't know. I have a turkey sandwich.
We're gonna go around the corner. I think you should come with us. This is a great place.
Okay.
We brought you a shirt.
Will you get out of here? Will you get out of here? Will you? Now, will you go to lunch? Go to lunch. Will you go to lunch?